You're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ignite Seattle Charity Champions Edition. It is so wonderful to see you all here tonight. It has been far too long. So I'm Sumit, my pronouns are he, him, and this is Maurice, their pronouns are they, them, and we will be your hosts tonight.
Y'all, we're super excited about your set of people, the talks we have lined up tonight. So glad you're here. It's a beautiful day outside, and y'all still made it out. You're doing something really incredible. So go grab yourself a chair, drink some popcorn, cuddle, get cozy. We have an amazing show lined up for you tonight.
Absolutely. We really do have a great show tonight. And, before we kick that off, we just want to say how much we love you and miss you, all of our Ignite super fans. Like, without you, our faithful audience, and your incredible energy, Ignite wouldn't be what Ignite is. It's you who make our speakers into stars every time we hold this event. So we're so thankful for you to be here. So before we get going, we'd love to have you all, however it makes sense for you, give a round of applause for these amazing speakers we're going to have tonight. So, it always takes a lot of guts to get up on stage to tell stories. But tonight, our speakers are being particularly brave because we are experimenting on them. We are trying a whole new format that we've never tried before. We've got recorded talks and a whole online thing. So it's a whole new kind of show. And they were very kind and gracious to work with us to try out this new format. They put a ton of work into helping us make this really work out. It's a grand experiment, and you are part of that grand experiment right here with us. So as always, we're going to start things off with an Ignite talk about Ignite that explains how Ignite works. But just like with our speakers, tonight's kickoff talk is going to be a recorded talk in the same format that our speakers are going to use. And it's from our wonderful co-host, Maurice. So let's roll with that first intro talk.
Hello. Welcome to Ignite Seattle Charity Champions Edition, Best Zoom Call of the Year Edition. If this is your first Ignite event, I'm glad you made it. You, my friend, have found something incredibly special. Our mission at Ignite is to share diverse and challenging ideas through the power of storytelling to a growing community of open minds. It's your first time here? You're a part of that growing community of open minds? Good job. Thanks for showing up. Here are some of the previous Ignite talks we've had. We've heard from a dominatrix, a data scientist, a rubber duck collector. Every single Ignite talk is different. That's what makes the night so fun. But what brings them all together is that they're all good stories. And good stories are compelling. We know 3 times a year, every year we meet in town hall, and we always sell out of tickets. Now you get to enjoy it at home, where there's no line for drinks and the pants are optional. We couldn't host the events last year, unfortunately. But you see, while we were stuck at home, pantsless, charities continued to help people in need. So we wanted to do our part by doing what we do best. Give people access to a global stage and the love of a supportive audience. Again, that's you, supportive audience. Ignite Talks follow a very special format. It's called the Ignite format. Here's how it works. Speakers each get 20 slides. And the slides auto-advance every 15 seconds. So do the math. Every talk is only 5 minutes long. The beauty of the Ignite format is that it forces people to be brief, to stay on topic, and to get to the point. Like I said, I wasn't kidding. It's gonna be the best Zoom call ever. You're gonna wish every Zoom call was like this. Tonight, you're gonna hear from these 5 awesome people. They have done something truly amazing. They have been working on their talks for over a month in quarantine. My goodness, for charity. Just for that, they already deserve a round of applause. Each speaker will talk about how a specific charity has somehow shaped or transformed their life. And just because they submitted an awesome talk, every charity here is gonna get $800. But 2 of the charities will get a little bonus cash. Who gets to decide? Once again, you do, my friend. Again, you are critical to the success of this event. After listening to all of the talks, simply go to this URL and tell us what your favorite talks were. The 2 charities with the most votes will receive the money from the ticket sales. So if you paid for a ticket tonight, your money is gonna go to one of the charities here. We have 25 minutes of talks lined up for you tonight. And even though the talks are pre-recorded, we ask that you still cheer them on. Remember, the energy of the Ignite crowd is what makes the event so magical and infectious. So please, mash that emoji button, react to the sidebar, make some virtual noise. The speakers are here tonight. They're watching you watch their talks, and I'm sure they would love to feel your reaction, to see how you feel about the talks, and cheer them on, still encourage them. Tonight, Sumit and I are your MCs. I am not a cat, obviously. However, I can't speak for Sumit. I haven't seen him in about a year. But we both love Ignite, and by the end of the night, I hope you do too. In fact, I hope you love it so much that you submit an Ignite talk. You're so inspired that you submit your own talk for the next Ignite, even though you don't know when that is. I don't know what it is either, but it's gonna happen. So to submit a talk, go to igniteseattle.com/submit. It's okay if you're not used to public speaking. The volunteers and public speaking coaches will help you feel comfortable up on stage. Here they are. These are all, Ignite Seattle is an all-volunteer 501c3. We're all here to help you and guide you as to craft your Ignite talk. Here are all of our social media handles. Please mention us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, #IgniteSEA. And with that, my friends, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Charity Champions. We love you.
You're live.
That was fantastic, Maurice. And just so you know, I'm definitely not a cat. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh, hey. Well, maybe I am a cat. Hold on. I'm gonna fix that. All right. That's better. And as Maurice said, remember, vote. We want your input, and we want you to help us decide what those top 2 talks that are gonna get that extra bonus cash are gonna be. So without further ado, let's start tonight's show.
There it is. Good.
And the first talk from tonight, the first talk for tonight is from the lovely Leroy, titled "I See Yoda, the Force is with me," and the charity that she'll be championing is the Urban League of Seattle. So let's roll with that talk.
So I was sitting at the table with my son. At that time he was in the 2nd grade, and I let him know that he needed to be tested for autism, specifically Asperger's syndrome. And he was like, "Asperger's syndrome? What's wrong with my ass?" And it was from then I knew that we were on a journey of trying to figure out how to manage his mental health, my mental health, as well as his autism. And we did a decent job, if I dare say. We went through all of the milestones, elementary. We left the bullies behind when he made it out of high school, and he went to college, and I was really proud about that. He completed his first year successfully, and everything was looking up for him. He was an aspiring screenwriter, and that's what he would be doing most of the time when he wasn't playing Star Wars with himself up in his room. His passions were dancing, writing screenplays, drawing. He loved to dance, and he was a jokester with an infectious smile. A good kid, but when you catch him on a bad day, you'll know it. He had some anger management issues as well. So on August the 2nd, 2017, I was happy to give him a birthday party, to which I wasn't invited, by the way. And he had his party at the beach. And so I went to pick him up, and we packed everything up, got in the car, and he was in the back seat, and I was in the front seat, and the party favors were in the front seat as well. And he had been kind of sulking and pouting, and just mad that he didn't get to do something. And the next thing I remember was hearing the car door open and close. And I was like, "Marcus, why would you do that? You're gonna make us have an accident." And there was no response. So I reached behind me I was trying to feel him. I wanted to pinch him. I reached behind me, and he wasn't there. He ejected himself out of my car on the I-5 freeway. So then we fast forward to 2 years later, when I tried to clean out his room after he was pronounced dead, August the 2nd, 2017, on his 19th birthday, by way of suicide. I couldn't really manage it, so I closed the door, and I revisited it a year later, which happened to be 2020. And in cleaning his room, I found things that I never knew about him, good things. I also found a lot of art supplies, which is really random. I mean, I know he liked to do art and everything, but I mean, he had a lot of art supplies, and good art supplies. I'm like, I gave that guy a pretty decent allowance. So I just decided to start painting. And that was August in 2020, during the pandemic, to which obviously we're still in. And I just fell in love with painting, and I found it to be new therapy for me. And I would paint and put the paint aside, come back to it, and I'm not kidding you, I would see Yoda in my paintings. And it's so bizarre, and it's so random, but I see Yoda everywhere, in the clouds. Yoda is just everywhere, and I like to think that it's the boy letting me know he's still with me. And he wants me to soldier on, and he wants me to tell my story, to tell his story, and to finish the work that he started. And so I guess I said all that to say this. There were times when I wanted to go with him. I'm so grateful that I made the choice to stay here. I'm really grateful for Urban League, who helped me bury him. These are happy tears because I'm just so glad that my story continues. I have a purpose outside of being a mom. And if anybody's going through, hang in, hold on. And when you're ready, tell your story. My time is up. Bye.
Live.
What a powerful talk that was. Thank you so much, the lovely Leroy, for sharing that super intimate story with us. You know, I've, in preparing for the event, I've watched that talk 5 times, and it just hits me every time. It's such a powerful story. I mean, it's such a heartbreaking loss, and still it's so inspiring to see how she found a path to healing through painting, and then that symbol of Yoda showing up everywhere for her as part of the path to that healing.
Yeah, totally. Sumit, I had the same experience. Like, the lovely Leroy's talk was the first one I watched of all of them. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch all the talks tonight. And then after watching that, I was like, okay, I gotta take a pause. It was really powerful. I had a really beautifully told story. So thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely. All right, the next talk tonight is from Neri Weaver, and her title is I Confess, I Am a Gap Addict, and she's going to be speaking on behalf of the Seattle Latino Film Festival. So let's roll that talk.
Hi, my name is Neri Weaver, and I'm a Gap addict. Have you ever been a volunteer or worked in a nonprofit, and for some reason you feel that the person who founded the organization doesn't allow you to coexist? I've always wanted to work at the film industry, not to be an actress, but to be a part of a festival. I grew up falling in love with independent films. Feature films, documentary short, and my personal favorite, short films. It's incredible how you can tell a story as short as 3 minutes, and that story can make you laugh, cry, or even feel anger towards a character. My dream finally came true in 2018 when a dear friend of mine asked me to join the Seattle Latino Film Festival as a graphic designer. I met my boss, a guy with so many hats and overwhelmed. He is the person who has passion for the organization that he founded 13 years ago. But sadly, when you don't find a team that aligns to your ideas, the founder starts taking responsibility for each team member that could lead to have the founder syndrome. A syndrome where the founder finds himself doing everyone's task because of fear that the team or volunteers don't understand the vision, or maybe they are not as committed as he thinks they should be. Every year, the Seattle Latino Film Festival does its main event. And guess what? As we all know, it's so hard to pull an event. It's even harder when people get so excited to meet all these directors and actors and producers, but they decide that maybe it's not a year worth of work. Or maybe the team never understood my boss's actual job and how important it is to network around the world to bring all of these important people to Seattle. When I started working for him, I had to prove a person who has the founder syndrome that I care as much as he does for the Seattle Latino Film Festival. And even though I was a volunteer at the time, I felt I accomplished what I most wanted, to be at the film industry. Getting to know all the gaps that were missing so the Seattle Latino Film Festival can be what it is today was hard. Proving a person who has the founder syndrome was even a harder task. Proving him that whatever idea he would have, I could deliver. Proving him that this is a year worth of work and having him to be able to trust me was humongous. 2020 was the year that he named me his executive director of development. After giving him a year of deadlines and timeframes that he was envisioning, we worked together in pulling a team that would align to his vision and that would feel comfortable enough to let those hats off little by little. We survived COVID, celebrating 12 years of setbacks, learning from our mistakes and beefing up that vision so his baby can grow. I'm so thrilled that I finally got my dream job and that my boss has no longer the founder syndrome. Because when you find a team that cares about you and your vision, you actually don't need to hoard any hats. What to do if you find yourself in this situation? What if the nonprofit that you are working, the founder could potentially have the founder syndrome? Based on my experience, this is what I did. Step 1, invite this person for coffee. Have a deep conversation about his vision and mission. Simple, right? But this will help you understand if this is an organization that you truly want to be in, or if you want to peace out. Step 2, a simple, how can I help you? This will allow you to have an open window to be able to throw in some ideas that will align to his vision without him thinking that you could be a potential threat. And step number 3, take action. If the founder is open to your ideas because he trusts you, it's a good time to prove that you mean business. Thank you so much. My name is Neri Weaver, and I'm a Gap addict.
Wow, that was incredible. I love your energy, Neri. That was incredible. Thank you so much. So hold on. Sumit, I actually started my career in nonprofit. Founders syndrome is super real. Neri, it takes real guts to do what you did. And I no longer work in nonprofit, and I wish I had the advice I wish I had heard your advice back then. That's really cool. Up next is a talk by Craig Plain. The title of this talk is Charity from Your Village. He's going to be speaking on behalf of Northwest USO. So everyone, please give a round of applause for Craig.
6 days after Amanda was born, my wife Sally and I were able to hold her without the breathing tubes, without the IVs, without the oxygen. She just laid there and looked up at us with these incredible deep ocean blue eyes, the most amazing eyes I'd ever seen. They told us that after taking off the oxygen, she might last 10 minutes. Well, 10 turned to 20, turned to 30. And at 60 minutes, her skin actually changed from a bluish hue to an almost healthy pink. And for a moment, just a moment, we thought all the tests, all the doctors, everybody, they were all wrong. She was going to be okay. But over the course of another hour, her breathing continued to labor until eventually she closed those big, beautiful eyes and slipped away. You know, just a week earlier, life had been so good for Sally and I. We'd been together over 3 years. We'd been married close to 2. We still felt like newlyweds, and we were so excited about having our first child. I had just been promoted to first lieutenant. I was serving in the U.S. Air Force, where I was part of a cadre of 100 folks starting up a brand new unit, the 74th Tactical Control Flight. Our mission was to deploy up towards the front lines alongside the Army to provide forward air control. That meant long hours. It meant deployments every month where we'd be sharing foxholes and sleeping in tents in sub-zero weather and trading and haggling MREs like school kids at lunchtime. And it all made us one big family. So it was odd that after Sally and I took Amanda back home to bury her, that we were a little nervous about returning. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how people were going to act. We didn't know how we were going to act. We were still processing everything. So when I got back to the unit, my commander, Major Stephen Doc Savage, a man I admire so much that I later stole his nickname, called me into his office and we talked. And he handed me an envelope that had a note from the unit and $400 they'd collected to pay for Amanda's marker, an eternal tribute to their compassion. But as I got back in the office, I noticed people were acting different. They were walking on eggshells or outright avoiding me. And I don't blame them. I mean, someone loses a parent, you offer your condolences, and you move on. But nobody wants to talk about a dead child. That's painfully awkward. So it was a bit unexpected when a few days later I happened to be over in the maintenance section checking on some supply issues when someone just out of the blue said, "Hey, LT, can you tell us what happened?" So I stood there and I told the story of a relatively normal pregnancy, Sally going past due, of a checkup, an ultrasound that showed fetal distress, rushing to the hospital, and having an emergency C-section. And as I was telling all of this, more people were filing in. 20, 30, 40, probably half the unit was there by the time I explained the diagnosis of trisomy 18. Amanda was born with that extra chromosome in her 18th pair. Now, most trisomy 18's babies miscarry or are stillborn. The odds were 1 in 100,000 that Amanda would be born alive. But she had a huge hole in between the chambers of her heart that couldn't be fixed. And so as I described our god-awful decision to let her go, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But that broke the ice. That let people know it was okay to stop by and talk, to stop by the office, to stop by the house and provide support. You know, parents that lose children are 8 times more likely to get divorced, 5 times more likely to commit suicide or have suicidal thoughts, 3 times more likely to have stress-related health issues. Now, the love we got from the 74th didn't fix everything, but it gave Sally and I a foundation on which to work. You know, it's 30 years later, and we still miss Amanda. We're still working at it. Despite being blessed with 2 amazing, great kids now, we miss Amanda every day. And the 74th, they got us through the worst of it. Sometimes your most cherished charity comes from those around you. It comes from your village. Now, the members of the 74th have long since scattered to the 4 corners, and the unit itself has actually been disbanded. So the charity I chose for tonight's event is the USO, because they do an outstanding job of providing support to military members and their families. So thank you for listening, and thank you to the Ignite staff for putting this all together.
Wow, that was such a vulnerable story, and the courage to share that kind of a story with an audience like this so that we can learn from it is part of what really makes Ignite what it is and what makes this event so incredible. It's so inspiring to see how his chosen village came together to support his family through this incredibly difficult time, but also how they navigated that loss together. And that's what real love really looks like. It's really something. So I wanted to remind folks that voting is live, and you can see up here. there's the URL. We know a few people have already been voting, which is fantastic. And you'll have till the end of the show, and we'll give you a little extra time at the end too. But please do go and vote. So our next talk tonight is going to be from Lorena Ware. It's called My Lucky Suit, and she's going to be championing the charity Dress for Success Seattle. So let's hear her talk.
During the recession in 2008 to 2009, I had lost my construction job. And at the same time, my husband had lost his mortgage broker job. We were both jobless. Soon after, our home was foreclosed, our car was repossessed, and because of this, my family became homeless. Being homeless and couch hopping for almost 2 years was a traumatic experience. We inconvenienced families as we slept on their living room floor. We inconvenienced families by relocating their child so that me and my husband could sleep on their child's bed. We packed light to avoid the impression of moving in. We left during the day to not impose on their family time. I felt awkward storing food in their refrigerator. We would eat at community kitchens because we ran out of money and didn't want to burden our host family in feeding us. We got kicked out from homes because they felt they were enabling our homelessness. The emotional toll I carried was huge. Humility and shame as a parental leader, not being a good role model for my kids, my own self-confidence was shrinking. Cash is a priority when you're homeless. I would float my personal checks as I waited for my unemployment deposit. I would get loans from Money Tree to avoid the shame from borrowing from my family and friends. I quickly realized the things I took for granted. Cell phone is a necessity. Wi-Fi and personal laptops make life less stressful. Having a good credit score. My bus pass saved me so much money. During this homeless phase, I received government assistance to return to school to gain new skills and training in the construction industry. While I was going to school, I was continuing to look for a job, and I was invited to a job interview. I mentioned this interview to my school counselor, and she referred me to Dress for Success so I could receive free clothes for my job interview. I was shocked she didn't recommend that I do mock interviews with a classmate. I was underestimating the importance of presentation and confidence in my potential. I felt ashamed. I didn't value myself. Neither did I value the power of clothing. I followed my counselor's recommendation. I went to Dress for Success because I wanted to get any support I could get to help me get back to work. Dress for Success helped me prepare for my job interview by giving me my first two-piece suit. After trying on the two-piece suit, I thought, I am overdressed. But it was a beautiful power suit that was carefully selected for me by a stylist. The suit was a perfect look chosen specifically for me as it polished my appearance and talents. The suit gave me self-confidence, it increased my self-esteem, and fostered a positive self-image. It helped me manage my fears and led me to focus on my strengths. It was critical to keep my confidence intact as I navigated the aggressive job market. That suit helped me become the winning candidate, and after getting the job offer, I nicknamed it my lucky suit. I have worn my lucky suits at presentation, important meetings, and whenever I feel I need to dress to impress. It was like polishing a diamond and watching it shine. It was a struggle to work my way up the success ladder. My live and learn lessons have made me prioritize financial literacy. having an emergency fund, having a good credit score, and avoid living one check away from being homeless. I learned to stretch the American dollar by being a thrifty shopper, visiting food banks, and meal planning. Through our lives, we all encounter difficulties, deal with frustrations, and have less than ideal circumstances. But I refuse to surrender and choose to work through life's challenges so I can once again feel empowered and resilient. I want to thank Dress for Success for the continued professional development that they give me, and also for giving me the opportunity to pay it forward for other women as I help them climb their own respective ladders of success. And thank you, Dress, and thank you for my lucky suit that changed my life since the first day I put it on.
Wow, that was incredible, really vulnerable story. Thank you so much. It was, Lorena, you went through something that many of us fear. Like homelessness is something that I think a lot of us really in the back of our minds fear. And you, the end of your story, you ended up looking fly as hell. Nice.
True that.
But like, I love the red, the black, like the red shirt, the black suit. It all looked really good. Thank you. And it was very refreshing to see someone dressed up these days. Like I haven't seen a blazer in the last year. Sumit, do you dress up for work these days?
Honestly, this evening I had to remind myself how to work buttons again because it's been a while.
Yeah. How about y'all in the chat? Do y'all dress up for work? All right. Cool. So the next up we have all right, who we got going up next? Up next we have Ginger, whose talk is called Life Turns, I Decide Which Way to Look, and she'll be representing Seattle Humane Society. So enjoy.
This is Benji, my childhood dog. He followed me around faithfully, even on that day when he ran in front of a car to get to me. He recovered, but what I remember the most was his bloody face and him whimpering on the asphalt. He was my buddy, but he was taken from me. My father and I had severe allergies, and as was the practice of the day, we had to get rid of everything fuzzy or furry, and that meant getting rid of Benji too. I didn't grasp why he was taken away. I missed him when playing in the woods and on those lonely nights when I cried myself to sleep. I felt very lost. Life turns, and it broke my heart. I knew you could adopt pets at the shelter, but later I learned it was where pets were often put to sleep. But I could only remember one thing. It's where animals see their worlds go dark in the presence of strangers. I've lived my entire life within sight of that shelter, Seattle Humane. Every time I drive past, I would feel that familiar sadness wash over me. The most I could comfortably do was to donate from a distance. That sadness connected with this place had followed me, unbroken, for 50 years. And I wondered if this would be the story I could never rewrite, that this might be the difficult path I would have to travel forever. Now, I've overcome so much. I was a shy violinist as a kid, but now I tell stories across the U.S. I transitioned and became the woman you see today. I play keys in an 80s band, and yet this obstacle remained. I promised myself I would find these memories written so indelibly in my child's heart, not to erase them, but to see them, to know them, to hear what they have to say. I found the Seattle Humane site, and I pushed the button. I attended the orientation, the training sessions. I received my badge and my official shirt. There was a moment of doubt when it came time to choose my assignment, but I chose to work in the veterinary department. We put my father in hospice at about that same time. The brain disease that had consumed everything we knew of him cast its shadow on his last breaths. I prepared to cancel my first big lecture at a national conference to be at his side, but my family said he would have wanted me at the conference rather than with him. They said it would have made him proud, and sometimes there's no right choice. Life turns, and it gives me loss. Sometimes we don't see things until they're right next to something else. In the bleakest moments of my father's imminent passing, I began to see. I saw hope, love, and life on 4 paws. In a place I once remembered with nothing but sadness, I saw hopeful young couples shopping for their first furry child, and I saw overjoyed dogs flaunting their new collars and leashes, prancing out of the adoption center. In a place I once believed was filled with abandonment and hopelessness, I saw the stunned surprise of people who counted 8 new puppies in a box when everyone insisted that there were only 7. A friend had told me that volunteering in the service of animals changes the landscape of your heart, that it weaves you into the fabric of life. And after a year of hard work, I finally understood what she was saying. I was scrubbing kennels with bleach, feeding all the animals in the hospital, hauling stacks of towels, and prepping surgical supplies. I worked hard and was exhausted the next day, and it was still the most rewarding day of the week for me. I thought back to what I believed animal shelters to be. I know that tears have a way of coloring memories, and seeing the cycle of life has a way of giving me perspective. And serendipity reveals something at just the right time. Life turns, perspective turns, and even words turn. I was so close. I almost got the idea of Seattle Humane right as a kid. I no longer see it as the place where animals meet their end in the arms of strangers. It's where lost strangers find their lives in the arms of animals. Benji had taught me a lesson, but it was one that wouldn't become clear for many years. It was imperfectly remembered through the tears, almost forgotten over time, but so freeing now that I've brushed away that fog. Thank you, Benji, for teaching me that life turns, but I decide where to look.
What a beautiful story that was. And that memory that had haunted her from childhood, and just be able to turn it into something so positive, to intentionally change her perspective. And she really did own her decision on which way to look. I love that. What an inspiring story to be able to do that and change her whole perspective.
Can we also talk about how there were so many puppies?
Yeah,
There were so many puppies. Thank you.
Love puppies. Can't wait to pet everyone's puppies again as soon as all of this is done. So folks, that was actually our last official talk of the evening. So let's give a huge round of applause for all of our speakers. What an amazing and inspiring set of stories, and what important charities they were all representing. I mean, I feel like I learned so much, not just about the stories of the individuals and the stories they were telling, but also about these new charities, that some of which I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, it was a really, really incredible set of stories. It was so much fun to watch them. I felt very honored to do so. In fact, there's some of them I liked so much that I would vote for them using this link up here. What are your favorite talks, people? Go up to this link over here. Tell us what your favorite ones were. If you want to check one of them, all of them, just vote which ones you liked, and we're going to tally the votes in a few minutes. And the ones with the two charities that get the most votes get to split the money from ticket sales.
Exactly. And so while Maurice goes to that site and figures out what the tallies of all those are, and we give you a few last minutes to put in those last votes, I just want to say a last few words to all of you. So first of all, Thank you so much to the speakers for making these incredible talks, sharing these incredibly vulnerable stories with a large audience, and putting up with our brand new experimental format and all the crazy changes we were making at the last minute to get this all to work. We really appreciate it. You made this into a really amazing night. Thank you so much to everyone who donated for today's bonus prize. Your dollars will go to great causes, as you've learned tonight. Thank you so much to all the organizers working behind the scenes. Ignite is a huge team effort. There's so many different roles, from social media to running the live streams to sending out the communications and gathering information. There's so many different people, so many different folks that contribute so much to this event. So thank you to everyone who's working behind the scenes. So
I want to give everyone applause to Submit. He really really carried the weight of the MC team over here. So thank you. He's awesome.
And thank you to Maurice, who equally was helping. It's wonderful co-host. And finally, the thing, we always want to thank all of you, the audience, for just being here, being so awesome. I've had one pupil kind of going to the live stream and just seeing the flood of comments and cheering and hearts. It's so great. We just love how interactive and how committed you are to Ignite. And it just makes this such a wonderful, so wonderful to just be a part of all of this. So folks, the moment you've been all waiting for, the time has come to announce the results of the vote. So Maurice, which talks will be winning the bonus prize on behalf of our charities today?
Let's hold on, Submit, but people are still filing in.
Oh, okay.
They're still submitting their votes. It's it stopped. Anybody else? All right. The two winners of tonight are Dress for Success and Seattle Latino Festival.
So Lorena Ware's talk, My Lucky Suit, and Nari Weaver's talk, I Confess I'm a Gap Addict. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to all the speakers. Congratulations to all the charities. We're so thankful to be part of this and being able to support those charities, as well as spread the stories of these amazing speakers. So super fans, that's our show for tonight. And we can't wait to see you all in person, to hug you all in person again. We love you, and good night.